Who is Katniss Everdeen? Katniss Everdeen is the main character in the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. She is a 16-year-old girl from District 12, one of the poorest districts in Panem, a post-apocalyptic North America. Katniss is a skilled archer and hunter, and she is forced to compete in the Hunger Games, an annual event in which one boy and one girl from each district are chosen to fight to the death in an arena. Katniss volunteers to take her younger sister's place in the games, and she is joined by Peeta Mellark, a baker's son from District 12. Katniss and Peeta ally to survive the games and eventually become romantically involved, although that's neither one of their purpose in the movies or the books. Katniss's backstory is one of poverty and hardship. She lives in a world where the capital, a wealthy and powerful city, rules over the districts. The capital uses the Hunger Games to keep the districts in line, and Katniss is forced to compete in the games in order to save her sister Prim's life. When Katniss was a little girl, she spent much of her time with her father. The two would venture into the woods of District 12, where Katniss's father taught her to hunt with a bow and survive off of the land. During this time, her father taught her to forage for the Katniss plant, which she was named after, telling her as long as you can find yourself, you'll never starve. In addition to foraging, Katniss's father taught her to swim in a lake and to sing. These skills transformed Katniss into a strong and determined young woman, willing to do whatever it takes to survive. When Katniss is 11, her father dies in a mining accident. Katniss's mother falls into a deep depression, and Katniss is forced to provide for her sister and mother. At first, she struggles, accepting burnt bread from Peeta to feed her family. Eventually, she begins to hunt, providing food for her family with the skills her father taught her. Later, these are the same skills she uses to help her and Peeta survive the games. Oh my goodness, I should have done a braid. At the age of 16, Katniss volunteers for the 74th Hunger Games to take the place of her younger sister Prim, whose name was called at the reaping ceremony. Initially, her only motivation is to protect her loved ones and to survive. She is willing to do whatever it takes to keep her sister safe and is determined to survive the Hunger Games. However, her motivation evolves after the events of the first Hunger Games. A turning point for Katniss comes when her young friend Rue is murdered in the first Hunger Games. Rue is the youngest tribute from District 11. Like District 12, District 11 was working class, and as a child, Rue labored in the orchards of the district, picking fruit that would be sent to the capital. Rue reminds Katniss of her sister Prim, as they are close in age and similar in demeanor. They're both tiny and sweet, and just bring out a goodness in Katniss. They really bring out the best version of Katniss. Katniss and Rue plan to destroy the food supplies of a deadly group of tributes called the Careers. During their attack, Katniss blows up the food supply, but Rue is mortally wounded while the two are separated. Katniss sings to Rue as she dies, and after she decorates Rue's body with white flowers that hide her wound. To the audience in Katniss, Rue's death demonstrates the true evil of the capital. Although Katniss saved her sister's life, another innocent girl is murdered in Prim's place. Katniss may be able to protect her family, but who will defend innocence like her sister and Rue? More children will be sacrificed every year in the games, and only for the amusement of the capital. The anger and grief Katniss feels is not only for herself and her family, but for all the others who suffer the same fate. As she watches Rue's lifeless form, she knows something must change. Someone has to challenge the Hunger Games, and the Capitol's cruelty must end. And by the Capitol, we mean President Snow, right? At this moment, Katniss becomes a symbol of resistance. She may have been able to protect her family, but her heart now aches for all the others who remain vulnerable in the face of this ruthless system. From this moment, Katniss becomes a true antagonist to the Capitol. She is now less interested in protecting herself and more concerned with protecting the innocent people. By doing so, she is in constant danger. However, Katniss is a realist, and never in the series does she suffer from delusions of grandeur. She doesn't think she can take down President Snow and the entire capital with her bow and arrow. Katniss knows this is impossible, and she leaves those kinds of silly ideas to people like our boy Gale. Katniss knows that she can protect the people within her sphere of influence, mainly the people closest to her. And in the moments after Rue's death, this means finding and protecting Peeta. This becomes her goal for the rest of the series. Not just protecting Peeta, but protecting any innocent people she can from the cruelty of the Capitol. This goal manifests many times throughout the story, like when she and Peeta vow to give a portion of their winnings to Rue's family each year, or when Kat can protect and save many of the people around them. But they can't fight a war alone. Katniss doesn't view herself as a hero or a savior because she's not one. She's an average person with a set of survival skills and a moral compass passed down by her father that allows her to survive the Hunger Games. As the story progresses, she realizes she can use those same skills as an inspiration for others to join the struggle against the Capitol. Katniss always puts other people's needs before her own. This trait is a fundamental part of her character. She needs a person who will support her in how she helps those around her. Throughout the series, there is only one character who matches the selflessness displayed by Katniss. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Peeta and what Peeta provides for Katniss. At the start of the games, Peeta provides a sense of optimism that is missing from Katniss. He is the first to contact Haymitch for training when Katniss sees this as pointless. While Peeta admits he cannot win, he truly believes that Katniss can survive the games. He doesn't just believe, he needs to believe because he needs her to be alive. He doesn't care if he's dead or alive. After the games, the two share a special bond, with Peeta and Katniss standing as lone survivors. Peeta is the only person outside of Haymitch who understands the trauma Katniss has experienced. Peeta never puts any expectations on Katniss. Enemies of the Capitol want to use Katniss as a symbol. Her friend Gale only sees Katniss as a potential romance. Even Katniss's mother uses her as the family's provider. While everyone else in her life only cares about her potential, Peeta doesn't idolize her. He loves Katniss for the person that she is. Katniss and Peeta share a fundamental trait. They are both selfless. Katniss is willing to die in the Hunger Games to save her sister's life, just as Peeta is willing to die for Katniss. This attitude of selflessness is the core of the rebellion and why Katniss becomes the moral heart and symbolic leader. She and Peeta are fighting for the right reason, to protect the people that they love. They both know they could die in this fight and they don't care. Katniss and Peeta value their lives, but they also know their lives would become meaningless without the people that they love. Neither character is driven by their anger, which can't be said for the next character we need to talk about. Katniss and Gale are childhood friends, and they have a strong bond. They are both skilled hunters and often work together to provide for their families. Gale is in love with Katniss, but she doesn't return the feelings, not quite in the way that he needs her to return them. Katniss and Gale are loyal to each other and willing to do whatever it differ. Katniss is motivated by her love and desire to protect the people who suffer the greatest under the rule of the Capitol. This difference is why Katniss pulls bitterness, which erodes their trust and connection. While no stranger to the harsh realities of their world, Katniss cannot ignore the toll Gale's anger is taking on their relationship and her general well-being. Gale believes that to defeat the Capitol, he must stoop to their levels of cruelty and inhumanity. This attitude culminates when Gale begins to design weapons for the rebellion. One of these weapons is a trap designed to lure people into a bombing site before detonating a second larger explosion. Katniss points out to Gale that his bomb will kill innocent civilians. Gale does not care. Regarding his enemies, Gale doesn't discriminate between civilians and soldiers. Ultimately, if you're helping the Capitol, Gale believes you deserve to die, which is not right. Katniss, on the other hand, never loses her humanity. She knows good people are living in the Capitol, people like Cinna, who died helping Katniss survive for the games. For Katniss, the rebellion isn't about punishing the Capitol. It's about protecting the innocent people she loves and cares for, including Capitol residents like Cinna and Effie Trinket. The themes expressed through Katniss include hope, love, survival, and sacrifice. Katniss symbolizes hope for the people of Panem and is willing to sacrifice everything to protect her loved ones. When Katniss first comes to the Capitol, she is expected only to survive the games for a short amount of time. Contestants from the poor districts don't usually last against the careers contestants from the more well-off districts. The careers have the resources to train at home and receive more gifts during the games because people in the Capitol expect them to win. So, how does Katniss grab the attention of the Capitol before the games even start? Katniss is unintentionally good at marketing. She generates interest by volunteering for the games. Not many people from the poorer districts volunteer for the Hunger Games for obvious reasons. She also gains a reputation when she shoots an arrow at the Game Maker's buffet during a training session. But the person most responsible for giving Katniss a fighting chance, at least in the beginning, is Cinna. He is her stylist and designer, responsible for creating iconic but also an essential ally in her fight for survival and ultimately a catalyst for the uprising against the Capitol. His artistic flair and unwavering dedication to Katniss make him an enemy of the Capitol. President Snow orders Cinna's murder to send a message to Katniss before she has to go into the Quarter Quell Hunger Games. Cinna's actions play into the theme of self-sacrifice that we see throughout the book. He is willing to give up his life for Katniss, just as Katniss sacrifices herself for her sister. Love for others is the defining characteristic of the heroes in this series, and not just love for the people closest to you, but love for strangers and a willingness to sacrifice for people you've never met. The actions of characters like Katniss and Cinna The actions of characters like Katniss and Cinna define this theme for the reader. In the latter half of the series, Katniss finds new allies in the militant District 13. Capitol will leave no one alive after her actions. True to her predictions, the Capitol bombs District 12, annihilating it. While at District 13, Katniss watches an interview with a brainwashed Peeta from the Capitol. After realizing that Peeta is alive, she agrees to become the Mockingjay, symbolizing rebellion. Katniss is not interested in inspiring the rebellion. She uses this role as a bargaining chip, demanding that District 13 grant immunity to Peeta and all other Hunger Games victors, and allow her family to keep their cat, Buttercup. While talking to Finnick, another victor, she realizes that the Capitol holds his girlfriend Annie captive. Katniss demands that District 13 also grant Annie immunity. Katniss uses the influences of her position and celebrity to save as many lives as possible. Amid her calculated demands, a theme of selflessness emerges through the character of Katniss. Though she initially uses her newfound role as a symbol of resistance as leverage to secure the safety of those she cares about, her actions reveal a deeper level of compassion and altruism. As Katniss negotiates for the immunity of Peeta, Annie, and her own family, she realizes that the cost of their lives is the promise of a brighter, more equitable future for all. It's a harsh realization that forces her to confront the moral complexity of her decisions. While she may have started with a focus on protecting her inner circle, her journey through the Hunger Games and the subsequent rebellion has transformed her into a reluctant symbol of hope. In this transition, Katniss embodies a paradoxical form of selflessness. She initially seeks to save her loved ones, but in doing so, she inadvertently becomes a beacon of hope for all the oppressed districts. Her actions inspire unity and ignite a spark of resistance beyond her immediate concerns. Katniss's journey teaches us that sometimes the path to selflessness is winding, born out of personal desires and necessity, but leading to a greater cause. Her evolution from a reluctant tribute to an Inadvertent revolutionary underscores the idea that selflessness can emerge even from the most self-preserving intentions. In the face of a ruthless capital, Katniss's actions exemplify the transformative power of empathy and solidarity, reminding us that the fight for a better world often begins with a single act of selflessness. One of the best things about Katniss as a character, and the aspect that sets her apart from other YA protagonists, is that she is not chosen by destiny for her role as a hero. Characters like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson are blessed by destiny at birth, which is great, but that's not for our girl Katniss. It is not their duty to earn respect because the mantle of a hero is simply given to them. This doesn't mean that these characters don't suffer and grow into the roles of heroes, but the journey is laid out before them, and they have no choice but to follow it. In contrast, Katniss Everdeen chooses to become the hero that no one expected. At each step of her journey, Katniss makes hard choices and always puts the needs of others above her own. The Hunger Games series teaches us that this is the true measure of a hero. Just so good. It's so good. It's so good. Her choices and actions define her hero's journey. Throughout the Hunger Games series, she consistently faces moral dilemmas and hardship. Still, her unwavering commitment to protecting others, particularly her sister Prim and her district, makes her a hero in the truest sense. Katniss teaches us that heroism isn't about innate powers or preordained destinies. It's about the selfless choices we make in the face of adversity and the sacrifices we're willing to endure for the greater good. Her journey reminds us that anyone can rise to the occasion and become a hero by choosing compassion, resilience, and a commitment to justice. Above all, Katniss teaches readers that in life, heroes are not chosen by destiny. True heroes volunteer.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The dogs in.
Come on, Tim. Come on, Tim. Come on.
My gosh. Okay. I should have done a braid.